today to talk about a new report on Sweden's defence, looked at in an international context. And it encourages Sweden to think about how do we look through foreigners' eyes, because Sweden looks very good through Swedish eyes, but people abroad, I think, have a lot of questions about Sweden's defence, and particularly think that very rapid cuts have been made in Sweden's defence. It's not really clear where it's going. And I think foreigners would certainly welcome reforms in Swedish defence which helped to improve Sweden's intervention capacity, where Sweden has helped in international peace missions, and even quite tough ones. Its men and its equipment have certainly been up to the task, and that is appreciated. But while doing good works abroad, one should still keep the home safe. And if you look at whether Sweden is capable of keeping the home safe, of course, at this very time in November 2014, there is a lot of discussion because of submarines and because of actions of Mr. Putin in Russia. But I think even before that happened, people looking at the statistics were wondering whether Sweden could keep its homeland safe. Because on the one hand, it is not a member of NATO. Some people would say still not a member of NATO, but I would say not a member of NATO, because I know that there is quite strong popular resistance to that idea and political resistance. So Sweden does not have any guarantee that anyone else will come to its help, and its own manpower in particular for defending its own territory has been quite radically cut. I did some calculations which showed that Sweden has the smallest army among the four Nordic states who have armed forces, and yet Sweden has almost twice the population of any other state. I think, though, that Ambassador Bertelman has already given us one of the answers when he says in his report, we cannot expect any cooperation partner to solve this problem that Sweden has made for itself. Sweden has made a mismatch, a conflict or a paradox between the ambitions and the duties of its national defence and the assets and the possibilities that it has to actually meet those aims. And it's quite a big gap. It's not one that partnership alone can fill. Each Nordic country has quite different force structure and defence concept, let's say, ranging from Finland still being based very much on territorial defence to Denmark, which pretty much gave that up in 2002. And when you have countries which are basically so different, you can't really expect that their cooperation will solve problems or save resources, except maybe at the margins. Sweden next year will have to draft a defence bill and put it through Parliament, and that this bill will cover not only military defence but also arrangements for civil defence, civil protection and civil security, like handling natural emergencies or dealing with terrorism, for example, and realise that if you had a good military and if you can find a way to rebuild the military to some extent, this is not taking anything away from civil security or emergency handling. A good military can also help with natural disasters. It could help to develop food to deliver food if you had a terrible epidemic and all the food stores were closed. In the same way, civilians and business have skills which could support the military, as long as this is all thought through and done in an organised way and a democratic way. So I think you cannot solve Sweden's defence problem and find a good way ahead by looking at military defence on its own.